What is up, guys? NottheWinner back at it again. And yeah, guys, I noticed that we got some new patch notes, so that's pretty exciting. And after looking through some of them, these are actually some very nice patch notes to make sure that we know exactly what our DR value is, which is huge. And certain affixes like vicious have been weakened, another huge change. But basically, we had a lot of performance upgrades. So anyone who was looking for that, feel free to look through these. But it's just basically optimization, game timeout fixes, and then out of memory on certain CPUs. But achievements retroactively fix several achievements that weren't tracked correctly and many difficulty based rewards as possible. Essentially, you just need to touch the world stone and then those things will unlock, so you don't actually have to do it again, which is actually very cool. Added all unlocked archetypes to Wallace's inventory, and if players unlock secret archetypes, then converting a mysterious item into an engram, he basically sells them for all your future characters. So this could, I believe, even apply to your hardcore characters, where you can now start with an engineer setup, which is very interesting, as engineer for a while, I believe, was impossible to get in hardcore because you would die when you try and get it. So this is a very huge change for hardcore runs and all future characters. Revivalist takes less now, and the dog counts as well for it. The shops that would, like, for example, if I bought something at the Blood Altar, it would remove the item from the stock and other characters wouldn't be able to purchase it. It now allows those items to always remain in stock. Fixed DR and advanced stats. While it's a bug, they wanted to make sure it was on the top of the list, because it was showing us that we were at 80% when we weren't, or showing us that we were at certain values when we weren't. So that's actually absolutely huge in terms of calculating our stats now, because any of us who want those tank builds can go full tank and see exactly where we cap out at. Reduce multiplayer scaling by an additional 5%. So the two additional players in your party would be a 10% less damage. So instead of it like really hurting, it's going to be a lot less damage for you. Increased chance that cast spawns special rewards. Very useful if you're trying to get all the items from cast. And invulnerability window on a revive, you get an extra 0.7 seconds once you've been revived to get out of that spot and not die. And experience gain has no max range now, so even if you're dead or really far away from me, you're still getting experience from all my kills. Some balance changes. These are huge. Reduce Vicious from 33% to 15%. Reduce Spiteful from a 0 to 45 range to a 0 to 25% range based on their health. And reduce Thick Skin from minus 15 crit chance, minus 25% crit damage to minus 10 and 15. So very huge differences there. Hardy enemies also only get 15% bonus to their max HP now instead of 25%. And the bulwark damage reduction, instead of it being 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 for 20% max, it's like 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. So each stack of that, you kind of cap out at 5 stacks on the bulwark from what we're seeing, and it's a 25% total reduction, which is nice because a lot of the bulwark rings felt a little bit too weak to really be used in the best tanking builds. A few tweaks to various armor types. Essentially, everyone was going heavy armors because the light armors were kind of useless, and not necessarily useless. There's a lot of use for them, but a lot of people were going for those. Adjusted the light armor damage reduction from 15 to 25%. Medium armor goes from 25 to 30%, and ultra heavy is 45 to 50%. They felt like the actual just base heavy was good at its 35%. So I kind of disagree. Like, if you're going to boost light from 15 to 25%, then you got to boost heavy from 35 to 40%. I mean, come on. So it does kind of make heavy builds less valuable, but ultra builds are even stronger and tankier now. So you could definitely go for an ultra build that's going to be a huge, huge tank in this scenario. And the DR value from 45 to 50%, an ultra tanky guy with 50% DR instead of 35% DR needs less rings. So all you have to do is put on the ring that allows you to roll, and you've got an additional 15% on the base DR there. So that's very nice there. Light armor gets 2 additional invulnerability frames, and medium gets 1 additional frame. And ultra heavy actually got an additional frame as well. So those of us who want to do like flops actually get a little bit more invulnerability. Armor evade value and stamina penalty. So you get on light, it's 12 frames with 0% cost. Medium's 11 with 25% cost. Heavy is 10 with 50% cost. And ultra heavy gets 15 frames on the flop because the flop takes such a long time to occur with 75 stamina cost penalty. Um, no changes were made to stamina cost penalty. It's really just heavy and ultra heavy still have their original iframes, even though it says there's one additional frame here. It literally says ultra heavy neutral evade. Oh, just the neutral evade, not the standard iframe on the flop. Okay, cool. That's like the backdash. Handler companion summon minions gain increased health per difficulty. On Apocalypse, they have the highest base health. That's actually very, very nice that it scales by difficulty because honestly, if you just scale the hit points up, then it makes them really overpowered on Veteran and other difficulties. Whereas if you don't scale them up high enough, then they suck on Apocalypse. Challenger's intimidating presence from 10 to 15 meters is actually really nice as well. Increase the restriction cord damage reduction from 10 to 15%. If you're giving up half your health, you deserve to get a higher DR. But with DR capping at 80%, restriction cord becomes a lot less valuable in most builds because you won't have enough health to survive those one-shot attacks on the higher difficulties. So you do have to be careful for that, but it does allow you to keep certain effects on at all times, which is very, very useful. And obviously stacking this with our previous setup with whatchamacallit, I don't know why I'm blanking on the name of that, but the hardened coil is going to be a really nice combo coming back, hopefully. Increase the Guardian Ring's range from 10 to 15 meters. Enabled misstep neutral backdash attack, so we can actually still backdash on misstep. Downtime and overall combat flow for Annihilation fight is actually very useful because that fight is just kind of messy. And the mind behavior on Survivor difficulty has been adjusted to make it easier for people who want a casual experience to make it through the game. So progression blocker, cast no longer wanders out of town. I've never had that occur, but many others have. Word 13 NPCs no longer lose their memory. So basically, when they speak with you, their shops you can access immediately instead of having to have them tell you a story right away or ask you how you've been. Fix an issue where Annihilation would be stuck between first and second phase. Progression blockers, for example, if the player died before one of the children made it back to the Oracle, the Oracle wouldn't interact with the player. Not necessarily the biggest deal in the world because you're unlikely to actually get all of the Oracle's boss kills that you need to fill up the thing anyways on your first playthrough. So, and also don't die. But I'm glad that they fixed that. Fix an issue in Sentinel's Keep that would cause the player to become stuck inside the door. Okay. And liquid escape could be lost. Ooh, that would suck. So that's been fixed. The minions are no longer targeting pigs in Le Somme. They'll go for the actual major targets as pigs are one-shots and they shouldn't be the focus. The dog wouldn't wake up the huntress when it attacks, so you could literally leave it at the huntress while it was asleep, and that's been fixed. Medic's redemption cooldown has been fixed. Engineer kills via turret now grant experience. The turret wasn't giving you experience for your kills before, and that was a small issue, but you know, it's not too much XP that you're missing out on as long as you're actually fighting alongside the turret. And I don't know if that applied to handheld. I think that was only when it was down. Remove some controller rumble for the summons being near you so you don't think something's attacking you. The issue with Aphelion dealing drastically reduced damage has been fixed, so it's actually a viable weapon now, hopefully. I'm going to test that out. Restriction cord no longer causing memory leaks. That's good. A lot of people complained about that. I never ran into issues with that. Spore shot's been fixed, so it doesn't last permanently. Death's Embrace has been fixed, so that when you return to the game, it's not an effect, I believe. Or so that it is. One or the other. Enigma's Chain Lightning was going through walls and floors. So, yes, I hear you. Enigma ignoring enemy resistance. The overload explosion still ignores resist. Okay, so, that one's fair. It seemed like it was just totally ignoring any of their lightning resist if they might have it, because most enemies were just taking insane amounts of damage from the Enigma when other weapons wouldn't be as effective. The chain lightning going through the walls and floors, I kind of get it, but also at the same time, I don't think it was too absurd where it would like really go through floors. It was like an edge of the corner and stuff. So should be a somewhat less noticeable difference, or it could be very painful. for the Enigma. We're gonna find out. Um, Incorrect values on certain buffs have been fixed. Let's see. Energized net coil won't trigger from ally status applications. Let's see. Process core wouldn't reset the timer. I never used the process Koara myself because it's supposed to be traded in. I thought, oh wait, is that what you make out of it? That's probably that. Yeah. So they fixed a bunch of the timers not being reset. They fixed eulogy mod from damaging the player if activated too close to enemies. And the returning bolts no longer damage allies. That's actually very useful. Various hitboxes for AoE attacks have been adjusted, so we might be dying very often just because we're used to the old hitboxes, but as soon as we adjust the new, we'll be fine. Annihilation no longer should insta-kill the clients. Cancer's root attack ignoring damage reduction. So that was a huge issue that I noticed, that I was just taking absurd damage no matter how tanky I was. That's actually huge that they've adjusted that, because if you're running a high DR build, you deal way less damage, and if the thing can two-shot you or one-shot you, it's very frustrating. So I'm glad that they fixed that. George, or Gorge Aberration, wasn't attacking players. I didn't run into that issue. Bloat King applying status effect would cause it to never adjust bioluminescence. Gwendol the Unburnt, that allowed Enigma to trigger infinite bomb explosions when there was no longer a bomb in hand. Good they fixed that, because I had that happen one time. Every other time it only triggered like occasionally, but one time it just went bah, 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 and like she just absolutely got obliterated. I had no clue how it happened. Venom staves are no longer destroyed by AoE explosives. Enemy affixes weren't affecting Venom for a while. That's fixed now. Various labyrinth enemies from not attacking during the maze section. That's fair. Bane Aberration from warping players out of the area with Displacer. Yeah, that would be brutal. Icons above doors were too small before. Seems like they fixed a lot of issues with you getting stuck or certain text being cut off. And the Huntress boss music has been adjusted, so it actually fits your music selection. Oh, wearing the Raptor's sigil when speaking with Bedell would cause enemies to no longer attack the player. That's been fixed, but I actually didn't even know about that bug. That's really cool. So that's really it for the patch notes, guys. A lot of balancing here. Hopefully this brings tank builds back into effect. I'm going to go test that now to see if they're actually valuable still. And we'll go ahead and get some videos out on what the new build should be, or what some new options you might have are. And make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'm excited to see you there. Thanks for watching.